Hey folks, and welcome back to Glenn and Adrian's Rock Talk. That's Adrian.
And that's Glenn.
And today we're going to return to Genesis, this time with a request. It's actually going to be a studio cut off of Selling England by the Pound. We're going to look at Firth of Firth today. Now, this is a piece that we're quite familiar with. As you might have heard in one of our more recent Genesis reviews, I mentioned that this was the album, Selling England by the Pound, that made up my second CD purchase ever. I did have the album before that. I still have the very same album that I had before that. Probably had this in the early 80s. So it's been around for a while. It's gotten a lot of play. Firth of Firth is the third song on this. This, by the way, came out in 1973. This song is mostly written by Tony Banks, aside from the solo by Steve Hackett. It's considered one of his best solos, and maybe one of the best moments in Genesis history overall. Now, apparently, Tony had put this song in as a possibility when they were doing Foxtrot, but they rejected it at the time. So it had been started in 1972, and then he kind of redid it and resubmitted it, and it ended up being kind of the centerpiece on this album. Adrian, I know you've heard this before, but what are your recollections on,
That's a great song, man.
Yeah.
It starts with the piano piece, and I just kind of sit through that because I like the rest of the song even better.
Yeah.
The piano is no slouch either, but
Yeah, that's absolutely true.
I mean, just all the instruments they use too. They have Peter doing a flute solo, Tony doing a keyboard solo, and then there's Steve Hackett doing that famous guitar solo.
Well, it has been a very long time, I've got to be honest, since I sat and listened to the record or even listened to the studio version of this song. I've mostly heard live versions done by Steve Hackett. That's really all I've heard, probably in the last 10 years or so. So it's been a while since I've actually sat down and listened to this piece. And maybe we can have some thoughts running during the more instrumental portions of it. Maybe we can talk a little bit. Not much, because there's not a lot of room in this to talk without missing something.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's jam-packed full of like these little riffs and licks.
Okay, well, anyway, why don't we put this on, give it a listen, possibly talk a little during it. We'll have to see how it goes, and then we'll discuss afterwards. Okay.
All right.
Well, let's go ahead and check it out. I love the pacing of the dynamic here.
The path is clear, though no eyes can see. The course laid down long before. And so with gods and men, the sheep remain inside their pen. Though many times they've seen the way to leave. He rides majestic past homes of men who care not or gaze with joy to see reflected there the trees, the sky, the lily fair. The scene of death is lying just below. The mountain cuts off the town from view like a cancer growth is removed by skill. Let it be revealed.
I love the dynamics in this piece.
Oh, yeah. Incredible.
Bringing it down low before coming back.
Now as the river dissolves in sea, so Neptune has claimed another soul. And so with gods and men, the sheep remain inside their pen until the shepherd leads his flock away. The sands of time were eroded by the river of constant change.
Well, you know what? I forgot that it faded out on the record.
Yeah.
I'm used to it ending in the live performances.
Well, yeah, on this, they bring you into it with the piano, and then they leave you with the piano.
Yeah, well, I mean, it happens that way in live too, but they actually nicely bring it in for landing. I'm not going to figure it out on the spot, but yeah, the dynamics are what makes this song so magnificent. There's so much going on. These guys have so much talent. They could just be playing up a storm all the way through, just like your average jazz album from the 70s, a fusion album. Not here. Here they go up and down. They create moods. They keep things really low. This is what Genesis does so well, is they can go really low with about as low as you can imagine with the dynamics, and just keep you hanging kind of by a thread as you listen to whatever's going on, whatever the scene is they're setting. And then they can just pull out all the stops and make this massive orchestral noise. It just blasts you off, essentially. And I love the way they're able to do that and just slide through each thing so seamlessly. It makes sense. What they build for these songs always makes really good sense dynamically and musically. It's so satisfying to listen to what they come up with.
Yeah, this is very keyboard heavy song. You got the synth, you got the Hammond organ, and you got the mellotron. I kind of think it's cool that all three of those are in this song.
Yeah, whenever we see them playing live, that Tony's got, he'll have the piano here, and then he'll have the Hammond right here. So all you have to do is turn his, that 90 degrees. And he's on to the next keyboard that he needs.
Yeah, he's got keyboards. The shows I've seen, he had keyboards in front of him and to the left. He'd have the mellotron to the left, and he'd have maybe another keyboard on top of the mellotron. I don't know, but he would have the other keyboards. He'd have the synth and the Hammond organ in front of him. Genesis did evolve. Like each album they kind of evolved. There's just a wide variety of music from them.
But the thing is, even back in their earliest days when they were creating these masterpieces that were kind of based on mythology or nursery stories, the Bible, anything like that, but they always had this melodic sense that they had throughout their time as a band. That's one thing they never lost. You could listen to it, and it was so satisfying to hear what they had put together. And I particularly feel that with the albums they put out in the 70s. Those are my favorites by far. At this point, the band has Peter Gabriel and Steve Hackett in it, and those two guys made a huge difference in the sound. If you liked this, you'll probably like the rest of the Selling England by the Pound album. And I would explore, if I were you. You might go to Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. You might go to the two 1976 albums, which are the first with Phil on the vocals, Wind and Wuthering and A Trick of the Tail. Both of those are excellent records, but they are a little bit different. They're kind of transitional. And those were the last two that featured Steve Hackett, aside from the live Seconds Out. And that's really when early Genesis kind of came to a close. The one after that was, and then there were three, which had Follow You, Follow Me on it. And it still was kind of jazz fusion-esque, but it was heading towards the more pop realm. And then Duke came after that, which I think is still a good record,
Yeah.
But by then it's a different group,
Yeah, even Abacab.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean the self-titled album. You kind of wondered where they would go from there, and my God, it wasn't until after I bought the Invisible Touch album for some reason and started listening to it, I realized I liked some of the songs on that album.
I've tried listening to it, and I can't get through it. I mean, Domino, that's on there, right?
Yeah, that's a good one, I think.
Yeah, that's a reasonably good song. That's the one song that I think I like on the record that I've heard.
Yeah, I'd say it's the best song on that album.
All right, folks, why don't you let us know what you thought of this? If you've ever heard it before, if you saw Genesis in the early days with Peter Gabriel, if you've got any memories associated with it, if you owned the music, any of that, let us know below. Be interested in hearing your experiences. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. If you enjoyed our presentation, please subscribe. All right, thanks so much for joining us, and we will catch you on the next one. All right, take care, folks.
See you all later.